Here's a man Hollywood genuinely tried to erase, not in the vague, dramatic way people throw around online, but full blacklisting, roles drying up, media attacks, the whole package. He saw it coming, was warned about it directly, and walked straight into it anyway. Whether that's the most principled thing a person can do in that industry or just the most stubborn, you can decide for yourself.
Which is children. There is something that I can't even fathom. I had no choice but to go in, and I hear the screams in my heart. I hear the screams because of the agents that I got to work with, got to show me things. And one particular time, he says, "Are you sure you want to go further?" Took me 2 years.
That's Jim Caviezel, and if you think that clip sounds intense out of context, just wait until you understand what he was walking into and what he already survived to get there. Most people know him as Jesus, literally. The guy physically bore the weight of playing Christ on screen, got struck by lightning on set, twice dislocated his shoulder, caught pneumonia, received an accidental whipping that left a 14-inch scar across his back, and still called the experience worth every second. That level of physical suffering during production is almost unheard of in modern cinema. Even stunt performers rarely sustain that many simultaneous injuries on a single project. And Hollywood's response to the most successful independent film ever made. Blacklist the man who starred in it. This is not a story about cancel culture. This is a story about what happens when one person refuses to play a game that everybody else pretends doesn't exist. Jim Caviezel was born in 1968 in Washington State, and early on, the trajectory looked pretty conventional. Talented actor, interesting choices, building momentum. He was offered a full scholarship to the prestigious Juilliard School and turned it down after landing a role opposite Kevin Costner in Wyatt Earp. That film bombed. Didn't matter, he kept moving. Small parts in Ed alongside Matt LeBlanc, a fighter pilot role in Michael Bay's The Rock, then a supporting role in Ridley Scott's G.I. Jane opposite Demi Moore in 1997. Then came The Thin Red Line, and suddenly, people started paying attention. His performance among a cast stacked with legends earned him a nomination for Most Promising Actor from the Chicago Film Critics Association. That's a big room to stand out in.
It did.
As a human being.
Oh, absolutely.
And kind of fucked him up in his career.
A little bit. Yeah.
Because people associated him entirely with that film, and then they associated him with Christianity, and then they associated him with right-wing politics, and
yeah. And then, he got sidetracked by a few guys. I mean, there's some people out there who they get in your ear, and it's it's like Cassius, talking about
right.
And they get you up to make a speech somewhere, and next thing you know, it's like people throwing eggs at you, and it's like, and you wonder, should I even be saying this?
But before any of that, there was already friction forming. Ride with the Devil flopped. Then came Frequency opposite Dennis Quaid. Strong reviews, decent profit, genuine momentum. Then Pay It Forward, Angel Eyes with Jennifer Lopez. And somewhere in all of this, a pattern started to emerge that wasn't about box office numbers at all. Caviezel refused to film intimate scenes or anything that conflicted with his faith. In an industry where you're expected to do exactly what the director needs, no questions asked, that refusal was essentially a declaration of war against the unspoken rules of the machine. Hollywood doesn't like declarations. By 2002, The Count of Monte Cristo gave him a rare win. Solid reviews, respectable box office. But High Crimes, Highwaymen, and I Am David didn't land, and the roles were quietly getting smaller. Then Mel Gibson called.
He did something, I think, that nobody else did. And I think he pulled it off because I totally believed it.
I believed it too.
And it was like, what did he do? He emptied himself out.
Yeah.
And he invited something else in. And he left it. He didn't try anything. He emptied himself out and he meditated. And he let Christ in.
Gibson didn't just cast him. He warned him first. He told Caviezel this role would end his career. And then, according to Caviezel himself, Gibson called back 20 minutes later and begged him not to take it. "You'll never work in this town again," Gibson said. Caviezel's response, "We all have to embrace our crosses." That's either the most courageous thing an actor has ever said to a director or the most stubborn, depending on your perspective. Maybe both.
You know, to see like what did that role change him? Because it seemed to have strengthened his faith.
Sure, it did. Yeah. He got in real tight with it, and I think he had some experiences while he was doing it. He suffered a little, you know, and
didn't he get struck by lightning?
Well, there's 2 times there was these lightning strikes happening on the set.
The production of The Passion of the Christ was, to put it gently, a physical ordeal most people wouldn't survive professionally or personally. Lightning strikes, a 14-inch whipping scar, hypothermia from filming the crucifixion sequence in freezing temperatures, a dislocated shoulder, pneumonia, and after all of that, 2 major heart surgeries once filming wrapped. He performed entirely in languages he'd never spoken, Aramaic and Latin, and delivered one of the most emotionally devastating portrayals in film history. The man essentially suffered for the role in ways that paralleled the story itself. The film opened on Ash Wednesday in 2004. It grossed over $612 million worldwide on a budget of just $30 million. It tied with The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King, for the highest Wednesday to Sunday opening week. To put that budget to gross ratio in perspective, that's roughly a 2,000% return, one of the highest in Hollywood history for a drama. Churches organized group screenings. The cultural impact was enormous. And Hollywood? Hollywood turned its back on both Gibson and Caviezel almost immediately.
Crazy movie because it was a great movie, but it seemed like there was resistance to that movie.
Oh yeah, no, there was,
which I thought was very strange. There was like Hollywood resistance to that movie. Like people didn't like that you were making it. It seemed like
there was a lot of opposition to it, and I don't know. I think if you ever hit on that subject matter, you're gonna get people going.
The backlash wasn't just professional whispers. The media came for both of them, and the roles that followed for Caviezel became smaller, further apart, and eventually stopped arriving altogether. He stood in front of the congregation at the First Baptist Church of Orlando in 2011 and said plainly, "We have to give up our names, our reputations, our lives to speak the truth." He even defended Gibson publicly. Mel Gibson doesn't need your judgment. He needs your prayers, despite calling him a horrible sinner in the same breath. That's not political calculation. That's just a man saying exactly what he believes with zero concern for how it lands. Then came 2023 and Sound of Freedom.
On the multi-billion-dollar human trafficking industry and honors a hero, someone who saved children from sex slavery. But to the media, this person isn't a hero. Someone who rescues kids from pedophiles is a villain.
These films are created out of moral panics. They're created out of bogus statistics. They're created out of fear. And with something like Sound of Freedom, it specifically is looking at QAnon concepts of these child trafficking rings that are run by the high-level elites.
For some reason, the entire media is smearing this movie as a dangerous conspiracy theory. The press is saying that the star, Jim Caviezel, is a QAnon guy. And Jim plays Tim Ballard, which is strange because just a few years ago, the same media was celebrating Tim Ballard's heroics. Watch.
The same outlets that once celebrated the real Tim Ballard's work rescuing children suddenly called the movie dramatizing that work a dangerous conspiracy theory. The director, Alejandro Monteverde, told Variety he was really sick over the coverage. "Look, this is all wrong. That's not true. It was heartbreaking when I saw all this panic and all this controversy." The CEO of Angel Studios said outright, "Anybody who watches this film knows that this film is not about conspiracy theories. It's not about politics." The film went on to gross approximately $250 million worldwide on a production budget of just $14.5 million, making it one of the most profitable faith-based films ever released, performing several major studio blockbusters released the same summer. A movie the media called a fringe conspiracy film finished ahead of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny at the domestic box office during its opening weekend. Read that sentence again.
It was one of the hardest things I've ever done. But I had a lot of experience from the Passion of the Christ. And we were humiliated. We were taken through the ringer in the media. This was before Trump came out and said it was, the lying media. and the fake news. And they were fake news back when we were doing that, but we had to fight for everything we had.
This is the part of the story people miss when they reduce Caviezel to a political label. The pattern isn't partisan, it's personal. Passion of the Christ, attacked. Sound of Freedom, attacked. The through line isn't ideology, it's that both films made audiences feel something Hollywood didn't program them to feel about subjects Hollywood had apparently decided weren't fit for mainstream screens.
I will tell you this right now. I would absolutely die. If this were to change the world and get rid of trafficking and pornography and all of the 8 arms of this octopus that has to be destroyed, the only way you can destroy it is take the head out. If that hit...
Caviezel and Mel Gibson have announced a sequel to The Passion of the Christ, titled The Passion of the Christ, Resurrection. Caviezel has claimed it will be the biggest film in history. Whether that's accurate or not, the fact that he's still standing, still making films, still saying exactly what he thinks after 3 decades of professional retaliation is genuinely unusual. Most actors who experience major blacklisting never fully return. Industry studies suggest that less than 15% of performers who face significant industry ostracism recover to leading role status. Caviezel never chased recovery. He just kept going. His wife and he have adopted children, including kids with significant medical needs. The themes of Sound of Freedom weren't abstract for him. They were personal. That's the part nobody wants to talk about, because it makes the attacks on the film feel a lot harder to justify. Look, plenty of celebrities claim they don't care about fame and money. Most of them are lying. The evidence usually shows up in what they're willing to do to keep both. Caviezel's evidence shows up differently. In the roles he turned down, the compromises he refused, the speech he gave in a church in Orlando admitting his career had effectively been taken from him and calling it a fair trade. You can disagree with everything he stands for and still recognize that as something genuinely rare. There's a sequel coming. There's a man who Hollywood buried twice and who, by any measurable standard, is still here. And the question worth sitting with isn't what Hollywood did to Jim Caviezel. The question is why so few people in that industry, or any industry, are willing to pay a real price for what they actually believe. Drop your thoughts below. Did Hollywood get this wrong? And is there anyone else in entertainment today you think has this kind of spine?